Good morning. Welcome to Pully Ministries Audio Bible Special Edition. I'm doing something a little different today that I've never done before, and that is I am reading you from a book that is not a part of the Bible. This is the Book of Enoch. The author is supposed to be Enoch, who was the 7 generations from Adam and the great-grandfather of Noah. The reason I've chosen this book is because apart from the books that are actually in the Bible, this is probably the most well-known. And it's actually quoted in the Bible. Jude, in the Book of Jude, he actually quotes from the Book of Enoch, which tells us that, it was around and read even in their times. In the early church, it was definitely used. It was ultimately considered not to be inspired when the Bible was put together under the Emperor Constantine. So, I know some people might get upset and say, you shouldn't read this stuff, you shouldn't share this stuff, it's not part of the Bible. And that's why I'm telling you now, it is not part of the Bible. It is not considered inspired literature that is breathed by God. But I am reading it solely as a matter of interest and of antiquity, of historical value. The early church fathers, or the apostolic fathers from the early eras of the church, were also acquainted with this book, and some of them used it and read it. It was included in one of the absolute earliest versions of the Bible, though it's no longer a part of it. It was written, some parts of it were written in 300 AD, and then other parts the scholars consider to be as old as the 1st century AD. So Enoch we'd learned very little of Enoch in the Bible. We know he was the 7th generation from Adam, and the Bible tells us that he was taken away into heaven. So Enoch was the only person other than Elijah, of course, who never died, but was simply taken into heaven. And so anyway, here's the Book of Enoch. Do with it what you will. Again, I'm reading it as a matter of history and not telling you that it is to be worshipped or used in any way like that. Chapter 1. The word of the blessing of Enoch, how he blessed the elect and the righteous, who were to exist in the time of trouble, rejecting all the wicked and ungodly. Enoch, a righteous man who was with God, answered and spoke, while his eyes were open, and while he saw a holy vision in the heavens. This the angel showed me. From them I heard all things, and understood what I saw, that which will not take place in this generation, but in a generation which is to succeed at a distant period, on account of the elect. Upon their account I spoke and conversed with him, who will go forth from his habitation, the Holy and Mighty One, the God of the world, who will hereafter tread upon Mount Sinai, appear with his hosts, and be manifested in the strength of his power from heaven. All shall be afraid, and the watchers be terrified. Great fear and trembling shall seize them even to the ends of the earth. The lofty mountains shall be troubled, and exalted hills depressed, melting like a honeycomb in the flame. The earth shall be immerged, and all the things which are in it perish, while judgment shall come upon all, even upon the righteous. But to them shall he give peace. He shall preserve the elect, and towards them exercise clemency. Then shall all belong to God, be happy and blessed, and the splendor of the Godhead shall illuminate them. Behold, he comes with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon them, and destroy the wicked, and reprove all the carnal for everything which the sinful and ungodly have done and committed against him. This was the verse that was quoted in Jude, by the way. All who are in the heavens know that what is transacted there. They know that the heavenly luminaries charge not their paths, that each rises and sets regularly, every one at its proper period, without transgressing the commands which they have received. They behold the earth and understand what is there transacted, from the beginning to the end of it. They see that every work of God is invariable in the period of its appearance. They behold summer and winter, perceiving that the whole earth is full of water, and that the cloud, the dew, and the rain refresh it. They consider and behold every tree, how it appears to wither, and every leaf to fall off, except of 14 trees, which are not deciduous, which wait from the old to the appearance of the new leaf for 2 or 3 winters. Again they consider the days of summer, that the sun is upon it at its very beginning, while you seek for a covered and shady spot on account of the burning sun, while the earth is scorched up with fervid heat, and you become incapable of walking, either upon the ground or upon the rocks, in consequence of that heat. They consider how the trees, when they put forth their green leaves, become covered and produce fruit, understanding everything, and knowing that he who lives forever does all these things for you. That the works at the beginning of every existing year, that all his works are subservient to him and invariable, yet as God has appointed, so are all things brought to pass. They see too how the seas and the rivers together complete their respective operations. But you endure not patiently, nor fulfill the commandments of the Lord, but you transgress and calumniate his greatness, and malignant are the words in your polluted mouths against his majesty. Ye withered in heart, no peace shall be to you. Therefore your days shall you curse, and the years of your lives shall perish. Perpetual execration shall be multiplied, and you shall not obtain mercy. In those days shall you resign your peace with the eternal maledictions of all the righteous, and sinners shall perpetually execrate you, shall execrate you with the ungodly. The elect shall possess light, joy, and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. But you, ye unholy, shall be accursed. Then shall wisdom be given to the elect, all of whom shall live, and not again transgress by impiety or pride, but shall humble themselves, possessing prudence, and shall not repeat transgression. They shall not be condemned the whole period of their lives, nor die in torment or indignation, but the sum of their days shall be completed, and they shall grow old in peace, while the years of their happiness shall be multiplied with joy and with peace forever, the whole duration of their existence. It happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days that daughters were born to them, elegant and beautiful. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored with them, saying to each other, Come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children. Then their leader, Samyaza, said to them, I fear that you may perhaps be indisposed to the performance of this enterprise, and that I alone shall suffer for so grievous a crime. But they all answered him and said, We all swear, and bind ourselves by mutual execrations, that we will not change our intention, but execute our projected undertaking. Then they swore all together, and all bound themselves by mutual execrations. Their whole number was 200, who descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Armon. The mountain therefore was called Armon, because they had sworn upon it, and bound themselves by mutual execrations. These are the names of their chiefs: Samyaza, who was their leader, Urakabaramil, Akabil, Tamiel, Ramuel, Danel, Azkeel, Sarakanal, Azael, Armas, Batral, Anan, Zavib, Samzavil, Erteriel, Purel, Yamiel, Araziel. These were the prefects of the 200 angels, and the remainder were all with them. Then they took wives, each choosing for himself whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabited, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them. When they turned themselves against men in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood. Then the earth reproved the unrighteous. Moreover, Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world became altered. Impiety increased, fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all of their ways. Amazarach taught all of the sorcerers and dividers of roots. Armers taught the solution of sorcery. Barcael taught the observers of the stars. Achabil taught signs. Tamil taught astronomy. And Asaradel taught the motion of the moon. And men, being destroyed, cried out, and their voice reached to heaven. Then Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, Suriel, and Uriel looked down from heaven and saw the quantity of blood which was shed on earth, and all the iniquity which was done upon it, and said one to another, It is the voice of their cries. The earth deprived of her children has cried even to the gate of heaven. And now to you, O ye holy ones of heaven, the souls of men complain, saying, Obtain justice for us with the Most High. Then they said to the Lord, the King, Thou art the Lord of lords, God of gods, and King of kings. The throne of thy glory is forever and ever is thy name sanctified and glorified. Thou art blessed and glorified. Thou hast made all things. Thou possessest power over all things, and all things are open and manifest before thee. Thou beholdest all things, and nothing can be concealed from thee. Thou hast seen what Azazel has done, how he has taught every species of iniquity upon the earth, and has disclosed to the world all the secret things which are done in the heavens. Samyaza also has taught sorcery, to whom thou hast given authority over those who are associated with him. They have gone together to the daughters of men, have lain with them, and have become polluted, and have discovered crimes to them. The women likewise have brought forth giants. Thus has the whole earth been filled with blood and iniquity. And now behold, the souls of those who are dead cry out, and complain even to the gate of heaven. Their groaning ascends, nor can they escape from the unrighteous which is committed on earth. Thou knowest all things before they exist. Thou knowest these things, and what has been done by them, yet thou dost not speak to us. What on account of these things ought we to do to them? Then the Most High, the Great and Holy One, spoke, and sent Arsayalalar to the son of Lamech, saying, Say to him in my name, Conceal thyself. Then explain to him the consummation which is about to take place, for all the earth shall perish. The waters of a deluge shall come over the whole earth, and all things which are in it shall be destroyed. And now teach him how he may escape, and how his seed may remain in all the earth. Again the Lord said to Raphael, Bind Azazel hand and foot. Cast him into the darkness, and opening the desert which is in Dudael, cast him in there. Throw upon him hurled and pointed stones, covering him with darkness. There shall he remain forever. Cover his face so that he may not see the light. And in the great day of judgment let him be cast into the fire. Restore the earth which the angels have corrupted, and announce life to it, that I may revive it. All the sons of men shall not perish in consequence of every secret, by which the watchers have destroyed, and which they have taught their offspring. All of the earth has been corrupted by the effects of the teaching of Azazel. To him, therefore, ascribe the whole crime. To Gabriel also the Lord said, Go to the biters, to the reprobates, to the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, the offspring of the watchers from among men. Bring them forth and excite them one against another. Let them perish by mutual slaughter, for length of days shall not be theirs. They shall all entreat thee, but their fathers shall not obtain their wishes respecting them. For they shall hope for eternal life, and that they may live each of them 500 years. To Michael, likewise the Lord said, Go and announce his crime to Semyaza and to the others who are with him, who have been associated with women, that they might be polluted with all their impurity. And when all their sons shall be slain, when they shall see the perdition of their beloved, bind them for 70 generations underneath the earth, even to the day of judgment and the age of consummation, until the judgment, the effect of which will last forever, be completed. Then they shall be taken away into the lowest depths of the fire and torments, and in confinement they be shut up forever. Immediately after this shall he, together with them, burn and perish. They shall be bound unto the consummation of many generations. Destroy all the souls addicted to dalliance, and the offspring of the watchers, for they have tyrannized over mankind. Let every oppressor perish from the face of the earth. Let every evil work be destroyed. The plant of righteousness and the rectitude appear, and its produce become a blessing. Righteousness and rectitude shall forever be planted with delight. And then shall all the saints give thanks, and live until they have begotten 1,000 children. With the whole period of their youth, and their Sabbaths shall be completed in peace. In those days all the earth shall be cultivated in righteousness. It shall be wholly planted with trees, and filled with benediction. Every tree of delight shall be planted in it. In it shall vines be planted, and the vines which shall be planted in it yield fruit to satiety. Every seed which shall be sown in it shall produce for 1 measure 1,000, and 1 measure of olives shall produce 10 measures of oil. Purify the earth from all oppression, from all injustice, from all crime, from all impiety, and from all the pollution which is committed upon it. Exterminate them from the earth. Then shall all the children of men be righteous, and all nations shall pay me divine honors and bless me, and all shall adore me. The earth shall be cleansed from all corruption, from every crime, from all punishment, and from all suffering. Neither will I again send a deluge upon it from generation to generation forever. In those days I will open the treasures of blessing which are in heaven, and I may cause them to descend upon the earth, and upon all the works and labor of man. Peace and equity shall associate with the sons of men all the days of the world, in every generation of it. Before all these things Enoch was concealed, nor did any one of the sons of men know where he was concealed, where he had been, and what had happened. He was wholly engaged with the holy ones and with the watchers in his days. Enoch was blessing the great Lord and King of peace. And behold, the watchers called me Enoch the scribe. Then the Lord said to me, Enoch, scribe of righteousness, go tell the watchers of heaven, who have deserted the lofty sky for their holy everlasting station, who have been polluted with women, and have done as the sons of men do, by taking to themselves wives, and who have been greatly corrupted on the earth, that on the earth they shall never obtain peace and remission of sin, for they shall not rejoice in their offspring. They shall behold the slaughter of their beloved, shall lament for the destruction of their sons, and shall petition forever, but shall not obtain mercy and peace. Then Enoch, passing on, said to Azazel, Thou shalt not obtain peace. A great sentence is gone forth against thee. He shall bind thee. Neither shall relief, mercy, and supplication be thine, on account of the oppression which thou hast taught, and on account of every act of blasphemy, tyranny, and sin which thou hast discovered to the children of men. Then departing from him, I spoke to them all together, and they all became terrified and trembled, beseeching me to write for them a memorial of supplication, that they might obtain forgiveness, and that I might make the memorial of their prayer ascend up before the God of heaven, because they could not themselves thenceforwards address him, nor raise up their eyes to heaven on account of the disgraceful offense for which they were judged. Then I wrote a memorial of their prayer and supplication for their spirits, for everything which they had done, and for the subject of their entreaty, that they might obtain remission and rest. Proceeding on, I continued over the waters of Dan-Badan, which is on the right to the west of Arman, reading the memorial of their prayer until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions appeared above me. I fell down and saw a vision of punishment, that I might relate it to the sons of heaven and reprove them. When I awoke, I went to them. All being collected together stood weeping in Obezael, which is situated between Libanos and Sennassir, with their faces veiled. I related in their presence all my visions which I had seen in my dream, and began to utter the words of the righteous, reproving the watchers of heaven. This is the book of the words of righteousness, and of the reproof of the watchers, who belong to the world, according to that which he, who is holy and great, commanded in the vision. I perceived in my dream that I was now speaking with a tongue of flesh, and with my breath which the Mighty One has put into the mouth of men, that they might converse with it, and understand with the heart, as he has created and given to men the power of comprehending the word of understanding. So has he created and given to me the power of reproving the watchers, the offspring of heaven. I have written your petition, and in my vision it has been shown to me that what you request will not be granted as long as the world endures. Judgment has been passed upon you. Your request will not be granted you. From this time forward never shall you ascend into heaven. He has said that on the earth he will bind you as long as the world endures. But before these things you shall behold destruction of your beloved sons. You shall not possess them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Neither shall you entreat for them nor for yourselves, but you shall weep and supplicate in silence. The words of the book which I wrote. A vision thus appeared to me. Behold, in that vision clouds and a mist invited me. Agitated stars and flashing of lightning impelled and pressed me forwards, while winds in the vision assisted my flight, accelerating my progress. They elevated me aloft to heaven. I proceeded until I arrived at a wall built with stones of crystal. A vibrating flame surrounded it, which began to strike me with terror. Into this vibrating flame I entered, and drew nigh to a spacious habitation built also with stones of crystal. Its walls, too, as well as pavement, were formed with stones of crystal, and crystal likewise was the ground. Its roof had the appearance of agitated stars and flashes of lightning, and among them were the cherubim of fire in a stormy sky. A flame burned around its walls, and its portal blazed with fire. When I entered into this dwelling, it was hot as fire and cold as ice. No trace of delight or of life was there. Terror overwhelmed me, and a fearful shaking seized me. Violently agitated and trembling, I fell upon my face. In the vision I looked, and behold, there was another habitation more spacious than the former, every entrance to which was open before me, erected in a mist of vibrating flame. So greatly did it excel in all points, in glory, in magnificence, and in magnitude, that it is impossible to describe to you either the splendor or the extent of it. Its floor was on fire. Above were lightnings and agitated stars, while its roof exhibited a blazing fire. Attentively I surveyed it, and saw that it contained an exalted throne, the appearance of which was that of frost, while its circumference resembled the orb of the brilliant sun, and there was the voice of cherubim. From underneath this mighty throne rivers of flaming fire issued. To look upon it was impossible. One great in glory sat upon it, whose robe was brighter than the sun and whiter than the snow. No angel was capable of penetrating to view the face of him, the glorious and the effulgent, nor could any mortal behold him. A fire was flaming around him. A fire also of great extent continued to rise up before him, so that not one of those who surrounded him was capable of approaching him, among the myriads of myriads who were before him. To him holy consultation was needless. Yet did not the sanctified who were near him depart from him either by day or by night, nor were they removed from him. I also was so far advanced with a veil on my face and trembling. Then the Lord with his own mouth called me, saying, Approach hither, Enoch, at my holy word. And he raised me up, making me draw near even to the entrance. My eye was directed to the ground. Then addressing me he spoke, and said, Hear, neither be afraid, O righteous Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness. Approach hither, and hear my voice. Go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to pray for them, you ought to pray for men, and not men for you. Wherefore you have forsaken the lofty and holy heaven, which endures forever, and have lain with women, have defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, have taken to yourselves wives, and have acted like the sons of the earth, and have begotten an impious offspring. You, being spiritual, holy, and possessing a life which is eternal, have polluted yourselves with women, have begotten in carnal blood, have lusted in the blood of men, and have done as those who are flesh and blood do. Those, however, did not die and perish. These, however, die and perish. Therefore have I given to them wives, that they might cohabit with them, that sons might be born with them, and that this might be transacted upon earth. But you from the beginning were made spiritual, possessing a life which is eternal, and not subject to death forever. Therefore I made not wives for you, because being spiritual your dwelling is in heaven. Now the giants, who have been born of the Spirit and of flesh, shall be called upon the earth evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. Evil spirits shall proceed from their flesh, because they were created from above. From the holy watchers was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil spirits shall they be upon the earth, and the spirits of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the spirits of heaven shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial spirits, who are born on earth. The spirits of the giants shall be like clouds, which shall oppress, corrupt, fall, contend, and bruise upon earth. They shall cause lamentation. No food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed, and shall not rise up against the sons of men, and against women, for they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. That was the beginning through chapter 15. The video's getting on 30 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it. I know people don't have a lot of time. So basically a recap, we're seeing that angels from heaven came down to earth and taught men evil things, how to build swords and how to read roots and sorcery and all that stuff. And they lay with women and had children. This is mentioned in Genesis, so that's kind of why I like the Book of Enoch a little bit, because it does have some parallels with the Bible. We heard in this video God talking about the flood and whatnot, so some interesting parallels. Again, I just want to state, this book is not part of the Bible. I do not believe it is inspired literature. I am not trying to convince you that it is inspired. I'm just reading it as as an interest of its antiquity. It dates back to the 1st century, and that's it. So we'll see you next time, starting with chapter 16. Thank you. Bye.